welcome back to my page. So today I'll be showing you guys how to do a do-it-yourself makeup. And when I say do-it-yourself, I'm going to do this step by step so that you understand how to do your brows, your lashes, everything. So this is going to be a nice and detailed video for you. So the first thing I usually do to get started is I would moisturize my face. Of course, this is when your face is already clean. So the moisturizer that I'm using is the Pond's Rejuvenous Anti-Wrinkle Cream. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm only going to put a little bit of this on my face. Because you want to start with a nice smooth base for your makeup. Smooth and moisturized. That way the makeup has something to grip on. So my face is nice and moisturized. Once it's moisturized, I tend to just spray it with a primer. And this primer that I'm using is the NYX Professional First Base Premier Base Makeup. But you just want to take this and spray this all over your face. And kind of let that set in. Now the first thing I tend to start with when I'm doing makeup, after I've done the preparation for my makeup, which is the moisturizing and the primer, I start with my brows. So for my brows, of course you want to use something that's a very fine tip. Let me let you see that. I don't know if you can see that clearly. But this is the retractable liners, and this is by Maybelline. It's the Express Brow in dark brown. So I'm going to show you. So I'm going to try and get as close as possible, but drop your hands like this. Don't actually start like this. Drop it like this and lightly sketch. Light. So you have to be really light on your hands. And just lightly draw underneath. And you want to typically do it to right here. So just take it and drag it. So you can see that. It's already there. And then you want to brush it. Now I don't brush my brows up because I actually like the way my brows look already, how they're already shaped. So the only thing I do is I just start lining. See that? Okay, so once you have that, if you can see that, once you have that, you just start filling in. Filling it in to make sure everything is nice and even. To the front, you don't want it to be so dark. So you just want to fill in. Fill in and shade it in. And then you just want to use your spoolie to make sure it evens out anything that you shaded in. So as you can see, one eyebrow is pretty much done. And that's not even finished because of course, I'm going to put concealer under that.
Repeat the process for the other eyebrow.
Now that I have all that primer on, I want to use some of this Baby Skin. Let me see if you can see that. It's going to be hard to see, but I can read it for you. It's a Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser, and I tend to just use this where you would have most wrinkles. I don't know if you can see any of my wrinkles, but usually right here and under here, just under there, where it could cause any creasing, I tend to put that there. Oh, and this is also by Maybelline. So now that you have your brows done, you want to use a concealer and conceal under there. Okay, so for my concealer, because I ran out of my concealer, I'm actually using my contour palette. So this is one that I actually just got. It's called the Ruby Kisses 3D Contour Artist Cream Contour. So that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using the lightest one under my eyes. And you always want to go a bit light there, so to highlight that area. So now you're going to take it, like I say, your hand is now dropped like this, not pointing, but lightly stroke away right under that area where you would have put the pencil, and then just kind of drag it down. You can see that. I'm going to do the other one. Just to make sure that all of it is even, I tend to just do it on each corner to make sure it is even.
Go in with a soft colored eyeshadow right under the highlight. Sorry guys,
like I say, I
didn't realize my camera wasn't recording to show you
light
that.
with the brush because you don't want any type of spotting that could happen as to where when you have a lot of concealer and then you go ahead and place your eyeshadow there, you may see that the color will actually drag. So the best thing, this is actually the reason why I tend to only put the concealer to right here, like where it's not so much, probably to right here, and that way when I put in my eyeshadow it can nicely blend. So that's what I like to do. I just want to take out any harsh lines. Okay, so now at this point you could go with here and here. You could actually put a lighter color or a darker color. Today I'm going to go with a darker color, and because I'm going with a darker color, I'm actually not going to put any concealer or the P. Louise, any eyeshadow primer there. I want it to be as light as possible, so I'm probably just going to put like a darker color than the one I have up here and just put that on my lids. So I'm still going to go back into my natural eyeshadow palette and just look for a darker brown. Probably going to just go for the darkest brown, and I'm just going to pat it in. And you want to build your color, so you don't want to go so dark. First you want to go as light as you can and then start building your color on. Like so in the crease right now I'm actually darkening that area. And now I'm just going back over with that light brown that I had and softening that area. You can see. I tend to at this part put the glue on my lashes, and the reason why I put the glue on my lashes now is because it needs a little bit of time to dry. So, and I'm using the Super Stronghold clear adhesive. Okay. So I'm going to take that, and just do the line of the lashes. Now if I need to, I'll probably just do another video with the lashes itself, because I know a lot of people struggle with putting on lashes. But I don't know if you could see that. So I'm just gonna let this sit and let this dry. I'm gonna do that for both my lashes. Okay, so now that I have my lashes drying, I'm gonna go ahead and put on the base of my makeup. And when I say the base, that means the foundation and of course start with the contouring. So I'm gonna use right now this brush. So right now I'm gonna use this brush, this nice flat brush. You could take a look at that. I'm gonna use this type of brush because I'm not going to put too much foundation on me. I'm just gonna kind of spot it all on and then blend it together. And actually some people use their concealer brush to do up top, but I kind of just use my brush that I'm using for my foundation, and I just kind of sweep it on so it looks very natural. I'm looking very white right now, but don't worry, everything's gonna blend together. I always tell people that with makeup, it gets ugly before it gets pretty, because you have to do so much like contouring and highlighting to make sure the color gets back to the color that you've had. And you'll see that everything's gonna be the same. Now, at this point, I tend to want to spray. And the setting spray I use setting spray. Now to start to warm up my color, because of course I look very, very bright now, I'm gonna go back to this palette. What's gonna happen is like everything is gonna start to look more bronzy, and it's gonna bring everything together. Put my hair in the way. Just to bring my color down a bit. Y'all gotta excuse me because I have so many different cameras on me right now. And the whole thing is you have to make sure that you're blending properly. Blend. We're gonna see that color is now coming. So the contour is what now starts to warm up your face. You can see. If you want to, you could just go like this. Now I know it looks like a lot right now, but don't worry. Once the powder goes on, it's going to cover basically a lot of this contour, so you won't really see it because I'm going to have the setting powder and all those things. And I tend to go back to my foundation brush and just kind of like pat everything away anyway. Anything that I think is too long on me, I just pat it away. Could use a sponge too and start blending to make it look a bit softer. So as you can see, I'm starting to actually get warmer. My face is getting a bit warmer. You can also put it under here to give you that shadow and blend it under here. And this is still, like I say, the contour color I'm using, just to blend everything. Just so my face is not too pale. Okay, so after I've done that, I'm going to go ahead in with my blush. You can see my contour. You can see, so I put it on my forehead, sides, my cheekbones, and then I put a little under here. I don't put too much under there because for some reason, when I see that, it actually looks like more than just a shadow. But I'm going to now do my blush. Now let me show you guys the blush palette I'm using. I have to be very careful with this because this is broken, but it's actually a blush palette from S.H.E, so it has all like the pinks, different shade pinks, and I'm actually gonna go with this dark color right there. So, and just do that lightly, as light as possible. As you can see, that color is starting to come. And so you see these little tricks, they actually start to, you have to excuse me because I'm looking at so much different cameras to see different angles instead of just looking at this light. Now, one of my favorite things is the MAC Global Glow. And this is something that when you highlight your, your T-zone, you can use this. I tend to use it before and also after I've highlighted. So use this type of brush. It's the MAC Global Glow. And you just sweep it on. So start to, because when you sweep this on, this is going to start and give you a good glow. See, that's already happening. Yeah. That right there. I'm going in now with my True Complexion Contour Palette by Black Radiance because I tend to go in with this medium sculptor. Now you can see that I've used this a lot because just look at that. But the same thing that I use to contour some areas, I'm going to put it there, like there, just to still warrant my face. Not too. Okay, my lashes, they are dry now. Now the lashes that I have, well actually this glue that I have, it's so easy. Now, so if you look, the glue is now dried and I can just take this and stick it where I want it. I tend to start from the middle. with one lash on. So you want to hold it like this. You want to hold it like that. With your tweezer, put it right in the center. And the best way to put on the lashes is actually using a compact or any type of mirror that you have, a handheld mirror, and looking at it from underneath as opposed to straight on, because it makes it so much easier to stick it on. Okay, so now I tend to do, because I have my lashes on, I have both on now, as you can see, I tend to use a liner. I actually don't want the liner at the top, like the very top, so I'm just putting it here in the corners to basically connect where it showed that lash started. So now I've done that, I'm going to use the liner under my eyes. Now, for some reason, when you put on your liner, it's like you have to open your mouth to balance that. Like, I'm pretty sure every woman does this when they're putting on their liner. Use that to balance out. So that's one eye with a liner, the other eye. And you see the liner makes your eyes look more dramatic, but I'm even going to go a step further, but I'm going to do that after I've done my highlighting. So to highlight, the same color that I use under my brows, I'm going to use that same color to highlight certain areas on me. So down the nose, and I really don't change the shape of my nose. I just pretty much highlight to the shape it already is, highlight and contour to the shape my nose already is. And now little here. Highlight. Like I said, I don't like too much highlighting on me, so let's see, I'm gonna use this. You can see that. Now I'm nicely highlighted. If you can see that clearly. I have a brush that I usually use now to set inside there and make sure that it's blended. And this is the brush. It's a setting brush. So I usually take this and set. And just press it in. See, that's nicely highlighted. area. Now, if you could take a look at me, you can see I'm very much highlighted. I actually don't highlight my chin area. I just leave that as is. Now, like I said, to make my eyes even more dramatic, under the eye where I've just placed that eyeliner, I would go ahead and use a black powder. So I actually have a black powder in this Take Me to Brazil palette. So the same black, I'm just going to use a small fluffy brush to sweep under there, back, but this is the brush I'm using. So I'm going to dip it in that black and just smudge. Oh, that's nice and black. It's very black. Now, anything that came off, that's fine. You could easily smudge that off. You could actually take that off with the concealer. You can see how nice and dark that is. In this palette, it also has a glow, so I'm going to use that glow as well. And it doesn't matter how bright this is under here because I'm going to use the setting powder, plus I'm going to go under there with my face powder. This is the setting powder I'm using. This setting powder has no name brand. Wow. I couldn't tell you what setting powder this is. Probably just some cheap kind I found. So I'm using this again. Tap in that area. Just to set all that in place. Okay, now to start with contouring my nose. I like to contour my nose at this part. The reason being is because I've already got my highlights in place for my nose and it just makes it easier for me to do it. But I'm going to use the same Black Radiance Beauty palette. I'm using this angled brush. I'm just dapping in the darkest color. Now lightly, you have to be very light with this because and just drag it on the side. Right. You can see. And like I say, I tend to leave my nose the shape it is and just basically contour, just so you can see it more defined. And you just start blending that down. Start blending that. You can go back to your setting powder because you want to make sure to remove any of those harsh lines. So the same white setting powder that I use, I'm going to now kind of just put that there. Pinch this. How that looks at natural. So you help that look as natural as possible. You want to get as close to those lines as possible when you're using your setting powder, because you're going to basically just brush that away. But as you can see, my nose is now looking snatched. Okay, it's looking snatched. This is just a nice fluffy brush I can use to basically sweep away that setting powder. Now you want to take the highlighter and highlight the tips of your nose. Excuse me, because I have so much mirrors going on right now. So I'm going back to the MAC Global Glow that I use on my cheekbones. I'm just dabbing this small eyeshadow brush. I'm going to take it and just hope you can see this clearly. Right in the area, right in the center, where you can see. Setting powder, you also want to use it now, like under here, to make sure that this is lined up properly. So it's the same thing, powder. Why is my hair in the way? I tend to take mine off right away because I don't want that white powder to sit for so long. So I tend to just brush that right off. So as you can see, we have everything blended now. Like nothing is looking too white or too pale. Nothing is looking too dark. And so that's a good thing. Now, what you want to do is you want to use your face powder and you want to basically set everything to tone everything down. I'm just going to use that same brush that I used earlier to use for the setting powder. This same brush. I'm going to use this same face powder. So I tend to still put my powder there, which will tone that color down a bit. So you see that actually toned everything down. Okay, now that my face is basically finished, this is my favorite part, which is putting on the lip liner and the lipstick. And I'm probably gonna go with a soft brown for this to outline. And I got this from the drugstore, so this was very cheap. This was actually only about $1 something. And the crazy thing is, this is actually my favorite color. Now they're completely lined. Let's see what color I'm gonna use. I think I'm gonna go with a pink color because I have a very pretty pink Inglot. If I could just find it. So I'm using this lip brush to put it on. And what I did was I put the lipstick on my palette. Oh, look at that. It's such a pretty pink. Just look at that pink. And the thing about it is, I did not even put a heavy layer. I could actually go more on this, but like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair this with a lip gloss. And the color is already very pretty, so you can see. Definitely gonna need my mirror for this, my small mirror. Okay, so this is my complete makeup look. Okay, so what I'm going to do is all the products that I used, I'm going to put in my description, you know, so you guys could take a look at those, because I use a lot of affordable products, you know, things that you could actually just get from the drugstore. any convenience store, any pharmacy. So I'll place those in my description. If you have any questions, you let me know, or even if you have suggestions, let me know. But I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're able to catch on to this makeup look.